Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Was Kevin Costner's John Dutton always supposed to die in Yellowstone? It's quite possible that if John Dutton, Kevin Costner, hadn't died in the premiere of Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2, he would have died in the series finale regardless. Fans were curious how Taylor Sheridan would write Costner out of the show after he didn't return for the conclusion. Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2's premiere got the main question out of the way immediately, revealing that John Dutton had, allegedly, killed himself in the governor's mansion. While John Dutton's death was more complex than it seemed, the premiere wasted no time explaining that Yellowstone's patriarch was gone. John Dutton's death outraged some audience members after Kevin Costner's controversial Yellowstone exit. Still, it could be that Taylor Sheridan moved on without John Dutton because, in the end, John always needed to die for the executive producer and screenwriter to end his flagship neo-Western story the way he intended. That said, while his fate was brutal, John's death in Yellowstone Season 5 wasn't far from what Sheridan intended. Looking at comments from key creators, it's pretty clear that John Dutton was always supposed to die in Yellowstone, and it was just a matter of when. That said, it's possible that John's death was supposed to happen in Yellowstone's finale. All of Taylor Sheridan's other Yellowstone shows witness the death of a major character in the final episode. For instance, Elsa Dutton, Isabel May, dies in the finale of the prequel series 1883, and Alex Dutton's, Julia Schlapfer, death marks the end of 1923. John's passing in Yellowstone's season finale would have fit that mold. Executive producer Christina Voros confirmed John Dutton's death was inevitable in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. When asked about John's death, Voros said it was always supposed to be part of the conclusion, because cases Luke Grimes' solution wouldn't have been possible without his father's passing. She said, inevitably, at some point, he was going to die. And even if there had been 17 more seasons with Kevin Costner, eventually in the story that is the saga of Yellowstone, that's what happens. The patriarch passes and the legacy moves on to his children. If John's death was always planned, but intended for the finale, then suddenly Yellowstone Season 5, Part 2 makes a bit more sense. The finale's events all orbit John's death, so it could be that Yellowstone's finale was always supposed to show John's fate, and the rest of the season was intended to set up its impact. The final chapter was filled with divisive flashbacks to before John's death, which could have been the story that Sheridan set out to tell before he decided to move John's death up to explain Costner's absence. While it's evident that John's death was part of the story Yellowstone set out to tell, it's tempting to think about what could have happened if John Dutton lived. If the governor had somehow avoided the attack on his life, he would have continued fighting for the ranch, regardless of whether his adopted son, Jamie Wes Bentley, the Attorney General for Montana, successfully impeached him. If John had survived, perhaps he would have finally listened to Beth Kelly Riley, who said the ranch needed to turn a profit and enact her business plans, giving John the capital to continue. Technically, if John had lived and maintained his claim on the land, the end of Yellowstone Season 5 could still have fulfilled Taylor Sheridan's prophecy in 1883. In a conversation between John's ancestor, James Dutton, Tim McGraw, and Spotted Eagle, Gil Birmingham, the Crow Elder tells Dutton that he can settle the Paradise Valley, but that his people will rise and take it in 7 generations, to which James replies they can have it. John's ranch would have passed to Case eventually, then Tate, Breck and Merrill, restoring stewardship of the land to the Crow's descendants after 7 John Dutton in Yellowstone Season 5B was a pivotal moment that left fans reeling and questioning whether it was always part of the plan. While Kevin Costner's unexpected departure from the series in 2024 certainly influenced the timing and execution, the show's creators had envisioned this outcome from the very beginning. According to executive producer and director Christina Voros, John Dutton's death was always intended to be a central element of the series' conclusion. She explained that the narrative arc necessitated his passing to allow the story and the Dutton legacy to evolve. Even if Costner had remained with the show for additional seasons, the character's demise was an essential part of the saga. Creator Taylor Sheridan's broader vision for the Yellowstone universe, including its prequels 1883 and 1923, hinted at this conclusion. The decision to sell the Dutton Ranch to the indigenous Broken Rock Reservation in the series finale aligned with a prophecy introduced in 1883, suggesting that the end of John Dutton's reign was always part of the overarching narrative. Costner's exit from the series, attributed to scheduling conflicts and creative differences, led to significant changes in the show's production. His departure necessitated a reevaluation of how to handle John Dutton's storyline. While the character's death remained a constant, the manner and timing of it were adjusted to fit the new circumstances. Despite the challenges posed by Costner's exit, the show's creators managed to maintain the integrity of the original vision. The narrative adjustments allowed for a poignant and impactful conclusion to John Dutton's journey, resonating with the themes of legacy and succession that had been central to the series. John Dutton's death marked the end of an era for the Dutton family and the Yellowstone series. It signified the passing of the torch to the next generation, particularly his children, who would now bear the responsibility of upholding the family's legacy. This transition was not just a plot device, but a thematic culmination of the series' exploration of power, family, and the American frontier. In conclusion, while Kevin Costner's departure from Yellowstone led to some adjustments in the portrayal of John Dutton's death, the character's demise was always an integral part of the show's narrative arc. The creator's ability to adapt to unforeseen circumstances without compromising the story's core themes is a testament to their foresight and commitment to delivering a compelling and cohesive of a Montana morning, with the wind rustling through pine needles and the sky stretching out like an eternal canvas. The image of John Dutton, stoic, battle-worn, and unyielding, has become iconic. Kevin Costner's portrayal of the patriarch in Yellowstone is more than just a role. It's a symbol of the Old West grappling with the modern world, a man burdened by legacy and land. But as Yellowstone nears its conclusion, one question has increasingly loomed large in the minds of fans. Was John Dutton always supposed to die? To answer that, we must consider both the narrative architecture of Yellowstone and the off-screen realities that have shaped its trajectory. Taylor Sheridan, the show's creator, didn't just write a family drama, he wrote a Shakespearean epic set against the backdrop of a contemporary American frontier. And in stories like that, kings rarely walk away unscathed. The inevitable fall of a king. From the pilot episode, death looms over John Dutton like a long shadow cast by the setting sun. His wife is already gone. His children are fractured, loyal yet rebellious, protective yet volatile. His empire is constantly under siege by developers, politicians, Native American tribes reclaiming stolen land, and even his own kin. Sheridan's writing has always hinted that Dutton's days were numbered, not because he's weak, but because the world he represents is dying. Like Lear or Coriolanus, John Dutton is the embodiment of a crumbling dynasty. He is both the tyrant and the protector, and those roles are often mutually exclusive. In a modern Western where morality is fluid and justice is personal, Dutton's death wouldn't be a twist, it would be catharsis. Sheridan's narrative blueprint. Taylor Sheridan isn't one for sentimentality. His scripts cut deep, and he's unafraid to kill beloved characters for the sake of realism. Look at Sicario, Hell or High Water, or Wind River. Death is not only inevitable in Sheridan's worlds, it's necessary. It forces transformation. It initiates reckoning. John Dutton's death, if it does happen, wouldn't be for shock value. It would be a narrative obligation. The empire must fall for something new to rise. Consider the themes at play: generational trauma, legacy, power, loyalty, land, and survival. Each of Dutton's children carries the weight of the Yellowstone Ranch in different ways. Case represents the possibility of moral redemption, Beth the scorched earth defender, and Jamie the adopted heir with an audible edge. Without John, the true colors of these characters must emerge. His death would be the ultimate test, not whether they can live up to his legacy, but whether they should. Costner's own journey. Then there's the off-screen drama. Kevin Costner's commitment to Yellowstone has been called into question in recent years, with reports of scheduling conflicts, pay disputes, and a desire to shift his focus to his multi-part Western epic Horizon. While Costner has remained relatively diplomatic in public statements, it's clear that his future with the series has been uncertain for some time. That real-world tension may have forced Sheridan's hand, or perhaps it merely accelerated a destiny already written. If John Dutton was always meant to die, Costner's exit provides a poetic symmetry. Life imitates art. The man playing the king steps off the throne. The story carries on without him, as all good stories do. But let's not assume this was merely a reactive pivot. Sheridan is a long-form storyteller. He thinks in arcs, not episodes. And for all of Yellowstone's wild twists, it's been building towards something mythic. John Dutton's end, be it peaceful, violent, or ambiguous, has always felt like an anchor point. How might it happen? If Dutton is to die, how should it unfold? Not quietly in his sleep. That would be too gentle, and not from illness. Sheridan already played that card early in the series. No, it must be an act of consequence, an echo of the decisions he's made. A final standoff on the ranch, perhaps, where he defends the land one last time. Or a betrayal from within, Shakespeare style, Jamie pulling the metaphorical dagger. Or maybe even a political downfall that strips him of everything, leaving him to ride off into obscurity, broken but unbowed. His death, or removal, would send shockwaves. Would Beth collapse or become fiercer? Would Case return to a simpler life or embrace his destiny as protector? Would Jamie claim the land, or would he burn with guilt? The Duttons would be thrown into chaos, and that chaos is exactly what the story has been priming us for.